Chris. Alan, where do I start? We live in a world of incremental change, but we also live in a world of extraordinary paradigm shifts that are occurring. I'm on record as having talked about broken concepts many times. And within the ACMA, we are very genuinely going back to first principles to try and rebuild. So we have to deal with legacy legislation today, and we need to bridge to the future in a way that has some coherency, and that's a balancing act we have every day. It's why I love this role, it's why I love working in the ACMA, and it's why I love media and communications, because it's got the most extraordinary challenges. I'm very optimistic and positive about what the ACMA can be doing. I suggested in my opening remarks that we took a while to learn our role in a truly converging world. We are very hard markers on ourselves in this country, and that's fine. I've just returned from overseas, and I'm sure many of you agree with this, that one of the benefits of the travelling is to again appreciate the extraordinary country that we live in, and in many, many ways the simplicity and beauty of the things we have. But that doesn't mean we can't improve it, and we should improve it, because we're very fortunate to live in a wonderful country. The ACMA, if you've had a chance to look at our new logo, is a beautiful logo. It represents four worlds converging. It's broadcasting, telecommunications, radio communications and online. They each came from their own world and they're converging in the middle, and that trend is going to continue. The strap line that goes with that new logo is that we are here to communicate, facilitate and regulate. And that gets to this issue of confidentiality in a sort of very oblique way. We need to do a lot better in the way in which we communicate. I spoke earlier about the fuzziness of our role in telco. I know we do very good things in there, but we haven't yet adequately articulated what we do nor communicated that. And I think, Alan, one of the things that ACCAN can do very responsibly is work with us to share some perspectives on that and help us fine-tune our messaging. If you're going to regulate, you need to keep your options open, and you need to work on behavioural change, and there are often some outliers where you just need to throw everything at them. And we're going to be getting new powers, hopefully through this bill, particularly on the telco side. I'm looking forward to that. It will give us a more measured and proportionate response. But I think we've demonstrated, particularly over the last 18 months, that where we get the opportunity to act, we act, and very decisively. I was with the chairman of the FTC in Washington the other day, and he was gobsmacked about the nearly $16 million penalties we got in the federal court. If that doesn't send a message. He was gobsmacked at the size and the effectiveness of our litigation. The TIO data, someone touched on that there. Look, I think we recognised that at the time of the spike, particularly with respect to mobile premium services in the middle of 2007. It was at a time when there was a perfect storm of events, some of which revolved around the lack of progress in telecommunications generally in this country. But I'm very impressed with the outcomes from the co-regulatory approach with the Mobile Premium Service Code, the code plus the extra action that we've taken to buttress that. I think that was a very good example also of the work between the ACCC and the ACMA and ACCAN's predecessor, Teresa Corbyn, where you had a view about the quality of consumer input into that code, and I think, Abel, that's an important heads up for some of the reassessment of code development. So I'm very optimistic. Sorry, the short point I want to make about being able to regulate is you need to keep your powder dry. So we want to communicate better, we want to facilitate, and I'm very proud of the spectrum we've been able to put aside for a government band in the 403 to 430 megahertz. That's going to provide wonderful harmonisation and interoperability between federal and state. That's a good example of what we're doing to facilitate better outcomes. And ultimately, I think that we need to be very cautious about the way in which we go out too early with too much information because of apprehended bias, compromising your ability to regulate effectively. They're very real concerns within the ACMA as they would be in the ACCC and ASIC. You just can't be too careful, particularly with respect to apprehended bias.
Well, to Peter and Delia and Chris, thank you very much for joining us in this this intimate conversation shared with 80 people here and 1 million on the web that are to come. There are a couple of things in closing. First, the diminished expectations that Peter drives us to. I think we live in an age of diminished expectations. Increasingly for consumers, it's the quality of our being ignored that becomes the metric. So there are five T's to take away, or perhaps even 6 T's to take away from today. And the first one that was echoed throughout was the need for a different basis of trust in the way that we deal with one another. And I think that's been argued quite well, and we can all see the persuasiveness of that. But following that, that's not enough. Talk, and there's a lot more that we can do there. We can share lots more information. For consumers, I guess timing or the temporal dimension is an important one, where the time frames in which things happen, we work in a sense on different calendars there. Consumers who see and feel problems day by day are looking for answers day by day, and often they're not forthcoming. That leads to frustration. At the practical level, the next T is a telephone, and we're going to share, see if we can, a system of sharing some contact numbers. I heard David Thodey, the new chief executive of Telstra, the other day, say that he was so concerned at the beatings that his staff were receiving when they went to parties and things, and their shame at working for an organisation that was constantly dragging along the bottom below even politicians in public esteem, that he's given them all special hotline phone numbers to call. Well, perhaps we don't want that, but some phone numbers that work in this sector. And then finally, a template for action where we'll see if we can get anywhere in sharing a little bit about selection criteria, reporting systems and things that might help add some discipline to the way in which consumers put information to regulators, and perhaps encourage some feedback as well. I did mention a possible 6th, and that's too little time. We've run out of time. We're going to have a micro break for a cup of tea or coffee, where I'd invite you to go out and stretch your legs, have some tea or coffee, bring it back into the tables. That's what they're here for, and we'll join our next session. But right now, I'd ask you to join me in thanking our 3 presenters.